Hello everybody, Michael V here with an update on the 36 Ford project we're doing. Started out as a 35 and got a lot of the front end done now. Going to switch gears today. I've called in a good friend of mine, Craig Gilliam, and he is an old school technician with body type work here. And we're going to do some lead work today, and we're going to show you how this works and what the tools are required for it. He's also going to explain the difference between lead and plastic and a little bit of the history on it. We're going to show you some of the tools. So with that, we'll talk to Craig here in just a second. Okay, so we're going to show you where we're going to do some work today. This corner of this roof right here, Craig, point that out right there. This area right here had lead in it originally, and we're going to repair all that, and also where we welded. So we had to clean all the welds out. You can either use a broken drill bit or a rotary file, also known as a burr, to make sure you got nice bare metal. And the steps we're going to be doing here is we're going to put tin on there first, which acts like a primer, and then we're going to be adding lead to it. So this is Craig Gilliam. He's our guy here that's going to help us today. He's been doing this kind of work for a long time, and he's an expert at it. He actually is in a lot of my videos from the Mercury build on the rest of my channel. You can actually see him doing some lead work in that video too. So Craig's going to walk us around and show us the equipment that we use, and let's go do that, Craig.
All right.
Let's start with this right here.
We're going to start with some of the basics here that this stuff has been around for a really long time. The paddles here I've got from a friend of mine that he did lead work right after the Second World War, and he taught me. And then Gene Winfield also taught me of some of the stuff that we do. So basically, we have these different paddles here. These are what we're going to use to paddle the lead onto the car when it's molten.
And these are made out of hardwood, right, Craig?
Yes, they are. They're birch typically, and you can see that these have been pretty well used over the years. You can see the burr marks on them. They have a little bit of beeswax on them. I'll show you how to put the beeswax on there and clean them, and that makes it so the paddles will slide on the lead.
Very cool, very cool.
And this one here, you can see this was a much bigger paddle at one time, and this is probably my favorite paddle to use right here. I also use one like this to help spread. And then if there's a concave area that on the body, you can see in the sunlight here.
Oh yeah,
how that's rounded.
Yeah, that's
so I can
very cool.
slide the lead through the concave area.
We have that up here on the rain gutter. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Cool. And this one here is just for a large area, a large flat area that that we might be using. So we'll paddle the lead on with that. So when we prep these paddles for use, what we're going to do is we're going to take the torch here. I'll talk about the torch here in a minute. We're going to heat up this little can of beeswax. We're going to slide it in here, and then we take an old pair of cut off pants leg off blue jeans, and we just clean the paddles nice and clean. So we want the lead to be really clean. Otherwise, if we don't get it clean, it's not going to stay.
Okay.
I did a car with Gene Winfield several years ago. He actually did this 1952 pickup when it was 6 months old in 1952. Wow. So when the car came back into Gene's shop, we had cleaned all the paint off of it, and I told Gene, I said, we got some cracks in here, and Gene said, well, let's flow the lead off there. And so over the course of a week, I put about 15 pounds of lead back on.
Wow, yeah. That's a true lead sled.
That was a true lead sled. But it's a testament of how long lead will last. It lasted from 1952 up until about 2017, 2018, whenever it was we did that pickup.
And we're going to be doing lead work today versus plastic filler, also known as Bondo, as an example. That's just a name that most people know it by. Because we're actually putting metal back on the car. This car will also have plastic body filler too, but for the most part, any of the big parts that we're trying to fix, we're going to be doing with lead. It's just much easier to fill, and you can use later model bodywork materials like plastic type stuff over the lead too. It works fine and lasts just as long. It's just fine.
Yeah, if I'm going to put lead or put a filler in, that's going to be what I would call a quarter of an inch or thicker.
Yeah.
You know, I really want to use lead because
it's metal.
It's metal. It's going to stay on the car.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
If I prep the metal correctly, I've got the metal tinned using the tinning solution, and then I lay the lead on there with no impurities in it. It's going to be there for the, you know, it's going to outlive Mike and I. That's for damn sure. So.
That's a good thing. As another good friend of mine says, it'll see us out. So talk about the acetylene torch real quick.
Okay, so we're going to use an oxyacetylene set, but the only thing we're going to use off of it is the acetylene itself. We don't need to use the oxygen because the oxygen's way too hot for it. So this tip here, this is a leading tip, and this tip is actually from Eastwood. And I'm not selling Eastwood's products here, but you know that's where
they do supply
a
lot of stuff.
Yes,
they supply paddles and stuff like that too.
They sure do.
They're certainly not sponsoring my channel in any way, shape, or form. But they're just a source to buy this stuff.
Exactly.
But this tip right here goes over a typical standard welding tip that you would use in oxy-fuel. And if you look at it carefully, hold it still, Craig.
Yep.
You can see there's a little hole in the end of it right there. And what that does is that'll pull oxygen in from the atmosphere. So that's how it creates a venturi there, and that's how you fire it off. So we'll try and fire the torch off. Sometimes when you first fire these off, if you haven't fired it off for a bit, it takes a second because it's got to prime itself, so to speak. So sometimes they fire it off.
So I can control the heat all the way down to that. If I got a small area that I want to really do some detail work on the lead, or if I got a large area and I got to do it fairly quickly, I can increase the heat, get it up to where it's going to be, where I can spread the metal on there fairly quickly.
Yeah, this is a really cool setup here, and it works awesome. You'll see here in a few minutes. So.
And like Mike was saying earlier, if you haven't used it for a day or two or whatever, or a month, and you go to put the tip on there, it's not going to strike a light right away like it does right now. So that light's really easy.
Yep. Fires right up like it's supposed to.
Exactly.
Like a professional.
Professional, exactly.
All right, and then we've got tanning butter here too, or tinning butter.
Yeah, and in the old days, what we used was there was a company called Tin Easy, and I don't know if they're still in business or not. But it was a leading solution, and then we used acid, muriatic acid in there to combine together. Now this stuff here, I'm using just water in the tinning butter, and I just mix it up, and you can see that's what I'm going to be using on the car right there.
And this is what acts as a primer.
Yes.
To help the lead stick to the car the right way. So.
And you can tell when the metal is dirty. Even though you've tinned it, the area is going to be black. And what you want is a bright, shiny silver look to it when you're tinning the steel.
I certainly hope I prepped this right way, because it'll be embarrassing if I did on camera.
There you
and
go.
Show them one of the lead bars right there, Craig.
So this is the lead that we use in here. This is 70% lead and 30% tin. And you can buy them in different shapes. I recommend that if you're gonna be doing this stuff, you're gonna use a bar similar to this, and I'll show you how to heat this up and then dab the tin onto it, and you just keep working it all the way through. It's kind of like welding in a way, but a little bit different.
Cross between welding and soldering.
Sure is,
in a sense.
So you can get 40-60, you can get 80-20, but if you're going to do lead work on cars, you're going to want the 70% lead and 30% tin.
Very cool, very cool. Okay. All right, we'll show them the. We'll do another quick segment here, and we'll show them the Vixen files. That's how we're going to finish it. We'll do that right now.
After we get the lead put on the car, now we need to shape it and make sure that it's exactly what we want. So the Vixen files have been around for a long, long time. And as Mike alluded to, plastic has been around for quite a while too. Plastic's been, I can remember the guy that taught me how to do lead work originally, Les, he said, I want to say the material was called Black Magic. I might be wrong on that name, but it's been a while since Les taught me this stuff. But he learned how to do lead work right out of the Navy at the end of the Second World War. So it goes back that far. Now the files that we're going to use, like Mike said, they're called Vixen files. And they're different shapes, different types of files here. You can see we use a round file like that right there, half moon. We use also this half moon shaped file, but it's curved like this. And this file I use a lot. It's just a great file for shaping the lead the way I want to get it shaped.
The reason we're using files is it's obvious it's lead. You're not going to sand it. It's going to create some ugly stuff and dust you don't want to mess with. So this is how you do it.
Yeah, and when you file the lead off using a Vixen file, it's fairly large pieces, and so you clean that or pick that lead back up, and then you can reheat it, get it back into molten lead again, and make your own lead sticks.
You can keep using it, yeah.
Yeah,
you can recycle it
over and over. You're recycling the lead a lot.
That's cool.
You know, also Eastwood does sell a lead stick, but it doesn't use lead. It's a different lead-free bars, but I'm very old school, and I like using the lead on the cars.
Well, you've got these files from Les, from the guy that mentored you, and these things are super hard to find. The old school style ones are super hard to find. You can buy newer ones now, but even then they're just not as well made, so to speak, as some of the older ones. The quality's probably okay, and it'll probably do it, but look how long Craig's had these files. Look how long the guy had them post World War II. Come on, man. That's a long time.
He actually got these when he got out of the Navy.
Wow.
An old guy was retiring from doing body work.
Wow.
And so anyways, Les bought all of his stuff. So these things are probably 100 years old.
That's awesome.
And I'm still using them. And Les told me, he said, you know, when you use a lead file or a Vixen file so much that you'd wear the teeth down on it. And he said, you didn't throw that file away. You took it into the tool room and you gave them a file, and they gave you a file back that was sharp.
Wow, yeah, they recycled their tools.
Recycled everything.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You can see this one, I can take it off and flip it over. So,
two sides, that's awesome.
Two sides of it, exactly. And this file is adjustable.
Yeah, look how old, this almost looks like an old school hacksaw with the way that you would tighten everything up. It's really cool.
Yeah, kind of like Jorgensen clamps too. But anyways, you can see now it's got a little bit of a convex shape to the files.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because when you tighten up that bar, it will change the shape. Wow, that's really cool.
Or I can go the other way with it.
Yeah, so, make it concave.
Yep.
That's really cool.
So,
cool.
Been around for a long time. Same thing with this file. Been around for a long time. In fact, I got to clean the lead out of it. I didn't do that. Shame on me.
That's okay. Well, we got time for that today.
Yeah. And then this one here, it's just a small one when you have a tight area that you want to get into.
Nice.
Where you're just moving a little bit. And I also have another one. I didn't bring it with me today.
Kind of for fine work.
For detailed work, so to speak.
Very cool.
The other thing that you can use these for, and I haven't made one. Les had one where he took an old broken Vixen file. He cut it to about that long, and he backed the backside of it up with so it looked kind of like that right there.
Oh,
that was all lead. And so he used that as almost like a shrinking dolly.
Oh, wow.
So when you're hammering on it, it kind of shrunk the metal a little bit, and it was just a small little.
These guys back in the day were true craftsmen, man.
They were, yeah.
I'm lucky that you were taught by a guy like that, because I'm the recipient of those guys' work, and those guys' skill sets live on through Craig. It's pretty cool. Yep. So Craig right now, he works for currently he's working for a company called Far West up in Mojave, California, and they specialize in the latest Rage, which is square body C10s. And on Craig's side of the shop, he does what we're going to call custom work with a K, both working on old school lead sleds and traditional hot rods like this one. So that's kind of what his background is. He's been doing this for decades now. And let's look at the acetylene cylinder real quick, and also the baking soda too. So standard typical acetylene cylinder, that's all you need to run this. And then we got some baking soda and water here. and we have to neutralize the acid that this thing creates with the tinning butter. So we just use a little bit of baking soda and a little bit of water, and that will neutralize it before or after we do the lead work.
Yep,
right?
That's correct.
All right. Well, let's get after it.
All right, let's do it. Rock and